Next on TCM, On the Beach, then the Omega Man, and later, the world, the flesh, and the devil. It's the end of the world as we know it on TCM tonight.
Hi there, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Welcome back to TCM, where we're in the final night of our month-long spotlight on disaster movies. Last week, our lineup included the 1974 thriller Earthquake, which featured Ava Gardner as a woman desperate to survive a 9.9 magnitude earthquake in L.A. Up next, more Ava Gardner in a film she made 15 years earlier, this one with less disastrous chaos than Earthquake, but with an even bleaker story to tell. Produced and directed by Stanley Kramer in 1959, On the Beach. Based on a novel by Neville Shute, On the Beach imagines the repercussions of nuclear war in the Northern Hemisphere. The film is largely set in Australia, where various characters anxiously wait to see if the nuclear fallout will drift down to them. The principal characters include a submarine commander, that's Gregory Peck, with Gardner as his love interest. There's also Anthony Perkins as an Australian naval officer, and Fred Astaire in his first non-musical role as a race car driver and physicist, because playing an NFL running back and brain surgeon just wasn't credible. On the Beach was shot on location in Melbourne, which helped establish an authentic atmosphere, but also caused endless problems for the cast and crew. The crew had to construct a film studio basically from scratch, and they all worked in punishing heat, contending with flies that swarmed the beach and, quote, almost blackened the skies, as Gregory Peck put it. When one reporter asked Ava Gardner what she thought of Australia, she reportedly replied, "I'm here to make a movie about the end of the world, and this sure is the place for it." Can't believe the Melbourne Tourism Board didn't immediately put that on all its promotional material. New Zealand writer Tony Beyer later said the quote was probably manufactured by a disgruntled journalist who worked out of Sydney. Apparently there was a rivalry between Australia's two largest cities. In the end, Gardner had only positive things to say about her work on the film, writing in her memoir, "I was proud of being part of this film, proud of what it said." Gregory Peck called it a gloomy film, but Ava at her best. Released by United Artists in 1959, On the Beach. On the Beach was produced and directed by Stanley Kramer, who had a reputation for making movies about bold topics, which often made his films controversial to some. The picture he made just before On the Beach, The Defiant Ones, starred Tony Curtis and Sidney Poitier as escaped convicts literally chained together, an impressive drama that refused to shy away from taking on racism. In casting On the Beach, Kramer couldn't decide at first who should play the cynical scientist. It was Kramer's wife who suggested Fred Astaire one night while watching an Astaire musical on television. The role opened a new career for Astaire beyond musicals. 15 years later, Astaire earned his one and only Oscar nomination for playing a dramatic role in another disaster movie we featured in our spotlight earlier this month. That was The Towering Inferno. For Stanley Kramer, this was not the last time he made an unexpected casting choice. He used Gene Kelly as a cynical reporter in his next film, Inherit the Wind. In the movie after that, Judgment at Nuremberg, Kramer cast Judy Garland as a victim of Nazi atrocities, a performance that earned Garland an Oscar nomination. In The Runner Stumbles from 1979, Kramer cast Dick Van Dyke as a priest accused of murder, and Ray Bolger, best known as the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, as a stuck-up Monsignor. It was Stanley Kramer's last film. Ahead for us, Charlton Heston seems to be the only human survivor of a biological war. The Omega Man is next on TCM.
Next on TCM, the Omega Man, then the world, the flesh, and the devil, and later, Night of the Living Dead. It's par for the corpse on TCM tonight.